If this virus, this H5N1 virus, learns to transmit human to human, it was going to be the worst bioterrorism event that we've ever known. This is natural bioterrorism, when nature becomes the terrorist.
You're looking at a catastrophe, and it's a catastrophe that is only dwarfed by one other possible event in the world, and that's thermonuclear war.
The war against bird flu is being fought on two fronts. In the field, scientists go to the most remote corners of the globe to hunt down the killer disease in the birds that spread it.
This virus could become the first pandemic of the 21st century.
And in the lab, scientists bring the deadliest bird flu in history back to life in an attempt to stop a pandemic today.
This was one of the worst infectious disease outbreaks in known recorded history.
But the world has never seen anything like the current bird virus. Can modern science do enough, or has time already run out?
You can't quarantine wild birds, so that's the big catch. Where is this virus going to spread to next?
Dr. Alexander Shestopolov is tracking an invisible killer.
Их можно назвать биологическим.
We can call it a biological weapon, but this is a biological weapon developed by Mother Nature.
It's called avian influenza, strain H5N1, and Dr. Shestopolov is going to the ends of the earth to find it.
The consequence of an H5N1 becoming a pandemic strain is really almost too terrifying to think about. Life as we know it today would essentially collapse.
If the deadly virus is discovered in the wild birds he's tracking, scientists know it will soon spread to domestic animals like chickens, and from there it's been known to infect humans.
We came across the reality that the Russians were very well in tune to the fact that avian flu was headed their way.
In the only influenza surveillance program of its kind, the United States government is backing Dr. Shestopolov's investigation.
There's very little difference between an outbreak of something like avian influenza to that of a terrorist attack.
The work begins in Akademgorodok, Siberia's military-industrial complex of Cold War legend, where Dr. Shestopolov spent decades working on top-secret Soviet bioweapons projects. Now that expertise puts him on the front lines of the world's fight against killer flu.
This virus can do everything in the worst way except transmit so far human to human. That's the one thing that we all have to worry about, is when is it going to learn to do that? And I think eventually it is going to happen.
The bird flu threat is real and immediate, and by fall 2005 the world community is so alarmed that President George Bush advises the United Nations to prepare for a worst-case scenario.
We must also remain on the offensive against new threats to public health, such as the avian influenza. If left unchallenged, this virus could become the first pandemic of the 21st century.
This virus has the power to send the world economy crashing. Worse, it kills half the people it infects.
If person-to-person transmission occurs anywhere, there is risk everywhere.
When the deadly bird flu hits Russia in July 2005, that's when the world wakes up to the fact that migrating birds are spreading disease far and fast.
This proved finally that H5N1 is really in the migrating birds. There was always an argument: were the migrating birds picking up the virus by scavenging in chicken houses, drinking water out of contaminated chicken houses? That may have been the case, but now this virus is in the true migrating birds.
Дикая птица, она не знает ни границ, ни карантинов.
The wild bird recognizes neither borders nor quarantines. It flies wherever it sees fit, wherever the traditional migratory pathways take it.
Avian influenza outbreaks happen when migratory birds mix with domestic animals like chickens, ducks, and geese. In domestic poultry, H5N1 has a 100% fatality rate.
The first step in preventing a pandemic is preventing it in poultry so you don't have the infections going to humans.